Good evening, everyone. Very excited to be here. This is my first pitch night. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Vectech. We're a startup out of Hopkins developing information and monitoring solutions for disease-carrying insects. And you might not know it, but disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes and ticks are actually the deadliest animals in the world. They kill more people than people do. And vector management organizations are responsible for controlling mosquito and tick populations in the regions that they serve to limit the public's exposure and potential for disease risk. A critical component to that process is actually information and monitoring of the population dynamics of insects that's happening on the ground. This helps ensure that resources and interventions like insecticides or biological control make it to the right time and place for the greatest impact. And it's relatively complex because different species of insects have different capabilities to carry and transmit disease and have different behaviors. So it's very important. Unfortunately, all that information and monitoring is really time and labor intensive. It takes seasonal technicians to go out and collect specimens from the field for the regions that they serve. And a medical entomologist individually goes through those specimens one by one, looking at them under a microscope. So you can imagine how labor intensive this is. And for that reason, it limits a lot of these vector management organizations' ability around the world to serve and generate information and monitoring programs for their communities. Vectech is working to change that. Building on advances in AI, optics, and computer vision, we're developing sensing technologies that will automate the identification of different kinds of disease-carrying insects. And we're implementing this in at least two tools. The first, to automate the laboratory diagnostic process and equip seasonal workers with the capabilities of a professional medical entomologist. And secondly, to implement this technology in remote sensing solutions so we can eliminate the burden of the field work of actually collecting the specimens. We've been awarded and won over $1.6 million in funding from organizations like the NIH, USDA, NSF, and DoD. And we're working with pilot customers already who are working with over 10 of our devices for the laboratory diagnostic device around the US. And we're excited to meet all of you here tonight. Please connect with me. Yeah, thank you.
And create what's now known as name, image, likeness, or NIL for short. College athletics is an $18 billion a year industry, and until last year, college athletes weren't allowed to benefit from that $18 billion a year, and in fact, they couldn't leverage their own name, image, or likeness to benefit from endorsements that they might get on their own. What I've done is created a platform called Marketplace Zero, which will help change that. What we want to do is to bring together brands and college athletes so that they can benefit from one another. So the platform would allow them to connect, and once they've connected, the college athlete would be able to create a video that would then be used to create advertisements that would then be deployed to social media platforms, search engines, etc. Now, this platform also would then be allowed to, Marketplace Zero would benefit by each of the connections that are made between the student athlete and the brand, but then also we would take a 10% advertising fee for all the advertisements that are placed on the various platforms. So if you are a student athlete, investor, or a brand, I'd like to talk to you about how Marketplace Zero could help shape the future of marketing.
You want somebody to go get the AD and revive you. You don't want to wait for the EMTs, do you? Okay, we're doing the same thing for active shooter situations. We all heard about the Tops grocery store up in Buffalo. Those 10 people, I could have saved 6 of them, I think. How much money is those 6 lives worth? Okay, and this can be done right now. My first go-to-market place is grocery stores. I'm trying to get into Wegmans and a lot of other places. I've got partnerships with the city of Minneapolis, and Carnegie Mellon University Robotics to do a study to demonstrate the empirical data that this works and it is better. And it's just extrapolating off of previous studies done by an Army Joint Task down in 2013 that says if we get response there faster, it improves the outcome. By us putting robots, drones, and UAVs inside these buildings, we can do an immediate response. In 20 to 30 seconds, we can be in the face of that shooter and slowing them down and stopping it and improving the outcomes. So this is the future. If we don't get it done with AssistI, it's going to happen some way, somehow, because if you don't believe that more technology is coming, I don't think any one of you would be here. Thank you.
Undocumented immigrants never talk to a lawyer. There's a number of reasons for that. You know, a lot of them are working most of the time. They don't have time to deal with lawyers' hours, which are 9 to 5. They also are worried to pay the money. You know, I charge a prepaid consult at my law firm, and a lot of folks aren't willing to pay that without even knowing if it'll help them. And so my startup that I started in my law firm to try to address this question is called Yotango.bot. What it does is it has conversations with immigrants on Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and SMS after they watch a video of me dancing on TikTok or an Instagram from one of my other law firm customers. And it talks to them about their case. It helps qualify them, and ultimately it helps them decide whether or not they want to take the next step to go to a lawyer. But I've been in the market with this product already for 4 years, and in that time it's spoken to 125,000 immigrants. So we actually have spoken to a lot of people, but the lawyers as customers has really been a problem for me. And the reason for that is they're not actually interested in lowering the price of legal services. It's working for them perfectly. It's not working for the immigrants. So we're in the middle of a pivot right now in which we're now going to use the bot to actually do legal services for people at around 20% of the price of lawyers. It's not so easy to do. What it involves really is convincing people to do a lot of the work themselves, convincing them to take down their expectations of what the law firm will do, but adding that plus financing can help a whole lot more people. And since we've done the pivot, we've begun to pitch it to customers. They're really interested in it. Surprise, people are pretty psyched when you tell them that there's an 80% discount available if they're willing to try something else. What am I looking for today? Well, number one, if you know an immigrant that's interested in trying our services, we'd be super happy to meet them. We're going to get a little more traction before we go out to raise a round. We raised a round from TEDCO a couple of years ago, and
how many of you have people in your lives that you've made something with? It could be in the garage with your grandma, grandpa. Making is something that is really, really important. Future Makers, I've been playing with a team of coaches that visit classrooms for years. We're about 11 years in now. But a lot of things really became clear about 2 years ago. That not only were young people unable to spend time in school making, actually even not many of them had opportunities to make even then. They didn't have the stuff that they needed to really be successful. Their teachers didn't have the materials that they needed in order to really engage with their learners. And for the most part, learners were sent off on a scavenger hunt to get toilet paper tubes or spaghetti or marshmallows to make and learn with. That's not a forever learning opportunity. So we started with small bets, building out learning kits that we tested and tested and tested. And 2 years later, we're at our 250,000th kit that we've distributed. We've been working with schools all over Maryland, and we've been really trying hard to figure out, how do we take this to the next level? How do we, as learning designers, become real manufacturers? I'm really interested in talking with folks that are interested in advising us on taking production from serving Maryland, DC, Virginia, to all over the country to get hands-on learning to happen, regardless of where our learners are, behind a screen, at home, or in a classroom. Last, if you love making, let me know. Tell me your stories about what you made or what someone has that you made when you were a kid.
To consumers in such a way that consumers can redeem available offerings as wheels menu items and resell purchase assets. So, what is an NFT? Non-fungible tokens are unique digital assets that are supported by the blockchain. They enable us to define ownership and wealth solely on the internet. So, across the board, restaurants have been ruined by high percentages coming from platforms like Grubhub and Uber Eats. These platforms charge up to 40% for sales and services. Our platform charges 10 to 20% for transactions and $100 a month for POS software. Zeddy's vision is to gamify the restaurant experience with NFT offerings and act as their gateway to the metaverse. Our ask is $50,000 to put towards POS integration, app development, and towards marketing our solution to end user communities. If we are able to obtain half of that amount, that will go directly into prototyping our platform. Thank you.
Because they're open all the time. And why are they open all the time? Electricity. Lots and lots of electricity. That in itself is a problem. Electrical energy is one of the highest operating costs. So we've come up with what we call a modular energy generator. It's a little unit that sits outside the building, produces electricity, and I can get into the technology of it with you later on, but produces electricity and feeds it back into the building and helps them reduce the amount of energy they're consuming from BGE. We think we can save anywhere from a quarter to a third of that energy consumption by producing energy right at the premise. You know, I'm an electrical engineer. I've been in power for a long time working with telecom companies and utilities. So we think there's a solution here, and it's all controlled on an app. So we're just a startup. We're still in the prototype stage, but we're looking for about $500,000 to get through building prototypes, field trial units, get some experience with customers. We think we can file some patents here. There's also a need to obtain safety approvals from UL. And you know, this is something that if you just read the papers every day or everything online, that energy is an issue. Energy consumption is an issue. The cost of energy keeps going up. Availability of energy and reliability of energy is always an issue. So we have the solution. I'd be happy to talk to anyone who thinks they know somebody that could use it, or an investor who's been in the industrial sector that knows this type of application. That's it. Thanks.
But myself. I am soon to be a freshman at MICA. And I hope to become a game developer one day. I am good with graphical design. I have worked on small projects, games, more for the art aspect of it and creating. I personally want to learn more about code. I am interested in expanding my knowledge into these fields to hopefully one day develop some of my ideas. I am planning to major in their game design pathway, and any help with, you know, like job offers or anything, you know, you're willing to say, you know, this is nice, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have to give her another round of applause.
Basketball. I've been a coach for 23 years. I've coached middle school, high school, college, and semi-pro. But while I'm coaching, I was making uniforms and t-shirts for the team, and it was really like a side hustle / hobby. And then I lost my job in 2018. I said, okay, I gotta get serious. So I kind of turned Tops into like a real business. So I have a website, and I'm looking for people who love sports. And my shirts are messages, like the company Mess in a Bottle, which is here in Baltimore. But I have sports messages. So things that coach would say, if this was a Jeopardy category, they're like, things that coach would say for $200. Okay. So work harder, nobody cares, you know? All hustle, no luck, things like that. So all of my shirts, I have the major sports on my website. They're not team specific, they're funny slogans, sarcastic slogans, or sometimes motivational slogans. And that's what I have here tonight. I have 2 samples with me. So TOBS stands for, because I was a teacher, I was tired of being broke. Shit. And that's honestly where the name came from. So 2020 during the pandemic, I got a lawyer to trademark the name and the logo. So this is my name, my logo. You heard it first from Coach Mike. It's tired of being broke. Shit. So I have 2 giveaways, and I'm gonna be creative with the giveaway here. I also want to talk to the gentleman who's working with college athletes, since I am looking for influencers and athletes, sports moms, coaches, who could help me promote the brand to a wider audience. So if you have a ticket that ends in 491, 491, 491, 491. Okay, and if you have 489, 489. So, I'm Coach Mike, owner of Tom's, tired of being broke.
Thank you. All right, how's everyone doing? Very well. Well, it's been a while since I speak on the mic, but hey, nice practice, right? Well, I started my company in, non-profit. We were 501c3 March of 2016. It's called the United African Collegiate. The main reason why I did was because I was the president by the African Student Union on my college campus here, University of Baltimore. And as a small campus, we didn't have the same resources as every other major campuses around, like Towson, maybe UMBC. But everyone had little problems within the organization. And I noticed that our organization in every school is one of the biggest organizations apart from fraternity and sorority. And most of the events, in terms of like fashion show, cultural pride events, were only within the school, nothing outside. And one of the things that stood out to me is I want to create an intercultural integration in every city possible. For every members of those students, whoever you are, white, black, whatever country you're from, if you're part of that organization, we would help you find the right resources in terms of jobs, opportunities within the community, for you to be involved. So every one of you here, if you have, a startup company and you need, people to work for you, to volunteer, job opportunity, you just come to me and say, hey, this is what I have. I will offer this to every student on every campus and say, this is where you can learn something and grow as a student. That's my goal. That's what I'm fighting for. I want to have one of the biggest festivals here in Baltimore, get to try African food and everything about African culture. Here in Baltimore City, we just had one of the first, we have Dukem. I don't know, many of you might have eaten from there. Yes, great food, right? It's open. We just have Nigerian restaurant here on Mount Vernon as well, which I think many people can enjoy as well. And we need more of those, especially in Baltimore City. I am from Nigeria. I've been here 11 years. Baltimore made me who I am today, and I want every other members like me and students like me to share their story and be part of this great city. And I think we can all benefit from that. So, I want to create a platform where they can put their resume up there, and you guys can come to me and say, hey, we have this opportunity for internship, and let me offer that to them. It's bigger than this, but yeah, that's just it for now. Thank you.
Look at Darlene. When we started our startup, we began researching Baltimore, being Baltimore guys. Math achievement, looked up the statistics on grade 3, first year they keep statistics. Math achievement in Baltimore City. Grade 3, the fraction of students who pass their end of year exam is
30%.
19.8. But of course, grade 4, grade 4 is lower, 5 is lower, 6 is lower. I can show you the bar graph. See me later. Okay. Meanwhile, out at St. Louis, Washington University psychology department was just coming off 10 years of deliberate research in what helps people learn. Not theory, not ideas, not daydreams, not memoirs. Experiment with students. Does this thing help them learn? Nope. Now, does this one help them learn? Yep, that's it. In 2014, they published a list, see me, of 23 hot concepts that help people learn. Teachers do not have this list. If you know a teacher, get it from me and give it to them. We did a pilot 2 years in a Baltimore grade 3 classroom using a few of these principles. Her pass rate started out lower than Baltimore average. End of 2 years, it was 55% above Baltimore average. It's not great, but we took the decline and turned it into a positive message. If you know people who are teaching and would like to pilot with us, or you'd like to learn more, come on over and talk to me.
What about a nice graphic t-shirt? Some shoes or jewelry, okay? Now, I want you all to remember a time when you were approached by a homeless person outside and they were begging you for food. Or maybe you drove past a church and you saw a line of people outside and they were trying to get food for their families. Or maybe you were approached by a woman begging for a formula for her child. Sorry. And you wanted to do something, but you didn't know how, or you didn't have any money, or okay. All right. Or you didn't have any change, or your wallet was in the back seat. But what if I told you I was building a platform where you could buy all the luxury products that you want, all the premium products, the bags, the jewelry, the shirts, and with one click of a button, you can also feed people. There are 4 million homeless people. There are 4 million people that experience hunger in America. 13 million of those people are children. My name is Matthew Jason Tompkins. I have been working in e-commerce as a fashion professional for the last 10 years, and I'm asking for $150,000 to get this business off the ground. Thank you.
Their art in our coffee and art gallery. And our slogan is from the motherland to the cup in your hand. We want to give people the opportunity to learn where their coffee comes from, because not too many people know the origins of the coffees that are in their hands. So we want to create that 100% transparency with our consumers and those who work and live, you know, to provide for us to have our favorite caffeinated drinks. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. I'm gonna have to check that out. I am proud to say I am a coffee addict. I love coffee. I drink it every day. I would love to stop giving my money to Dunkin' and Starbucks. So, all right, next we have Veronica Jackson. Did I pronounce that right? Yes. I got one.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Veronica Jackson, and I'm the Executive Director of Pivot. And we are launching a brand new initiative, which is called BIRD, which is Basic Income for Returning Demographics. So I know that you're wondering, what in the world is a Pivot, right? Well, Pivot, we are the only we're the only gender-specific women's reentry workforce development program here in Baltimore, Maryland, and within the state of Maryland. So we serve women who are returning citizens or women who are justice impacted, meaning they've had a criminal background, they either had a record, and we provide wellness, personal success coaching, and we get them off to work. Our newest initiative is BIRD, and we're seeking $250,000 to start up our BIRD organization. What BIRD will provide is basic income for a woman who has gone through a workforce development program for 24 months. And you're asking why do they need that? They already have a job, right? Well, in all actuality, if you serve 14 years in prison and you get out, you don't really have a lot of work history. So most times you get what is an entry-level job. After paying market rent in your entry-level job, you're still struggling. Many of our participants still come to us after they've paid their rent, after they've paid their utilities. We're still providing their basic essentials, we're providing the food. And because of that, we're looking to assist them for 24 months, providing $500 a month and an opportunity for them to enhance their stability, meaning they can take a vocational trade, community college or something, so that at the end of the 24 months, they're more stable than when they left off. If you are looking to support this initiative, please come see me. If you are a business owner and you are willing to lend an opportunity to a woman who's getting her life back on track and deserving of a second chance, please come see me. Thank you.
Uni to empower every community in the world from the bottom up. To first start understanding our app, imagine the world itself as the internet. And now, imagine being able to click anywhere on the internet or the world and view everything going on in a location. Local events, YouTube videos, Twitter posts, live streams. Everything on the internet organized and displayed regionally. Now, along with this is the power for media to also grow from the bottom up. So, what I mean by this is, let's say you're a Spotify artist and you want people in your city to see your music. You click any location in the world, post your Spotify, you post your song on Spotify, connect your account to our app, Rooney Uni, and every user in the city will then be able to see your Spotify snippet. Then, as it begins to get community attention through likes, comments, and clicks, that post will then grow up into a higher region level. So you can imagine your post then starts in Baltimore, then goes into Baltimore County, then into Maryland, being visible to every user in that region level. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, so, I first started this app because when I was younger, I used to be a Spotify artist, and I found it hard to connect with people in my community, whether it was people who were artists and I was just trying to collaborate with, or whether it was, just people in my city who give me feedback on my music. So ever since that, when I was younger, I envisioned the app where I could post, my songs and stuff in my city and just have people, view it. Okay, before I go, so any business looking to market something regionally, any content creator or something like that, please come talk to me and I can show you how our app works. And I'm looking for 100K in a pre-seed round in safes or convertible notes. And thank you. RUNI.com.
Okay, I'm not tall enough to get the mic, but that's okay. So thank you all again for coming. I really appreciate it. It's an amazing community that we have, not just about technology, but about startups and about you have a fucking idea, do it, really do it, okay? As I tell people all the time, I quit my job, I left my husband, I sold my car, and started my business all in the same week because I knew I could not fail. You have to believe in yourself. And someone that I know believes in himself, that I have been, it is an amazing friend and colleague and incredible person for the city of Baltimore is Jeff Cherry, Conscious Venture Lab. I want to introduce him so he can pitch his stuff. Come on, Jeff. Do your stuff.
So why did you take the microphone before I was going to come up? You wanted to make me nervous. But as most of my friends say, the most dangerous place in the room is between me and a microphone. So I don't get nervous. But you know what? I may not come back to this ever again. You know why? Because it's all about making me not feel good. I'm from Brooklyn, but I don't know shit about 3D printing. I've never made any money off my name, image, or likeness. I don't know a goddamn thing about math. I hate people getting shot in supermarkets. I got a whole bunch of questions I need answers. Where's that cat? The Strixon guy, he said a word, I didn't even know what the word meant. he used words that were bigger than and you know what, Coach? I'm fucking tired of being broke too. Shit. So, you know, no, I was the second because you did already. And I heard that the pitch practice must be, they must tell you, ask a question to get the audience involved, right? So I'm going to ask a question. If you pitch today and you need money, raise your hand. All right, I have $17 million. See you later. Who has applied to the Conscious Venture Lab? Not you two. You guys can't raise your hand. You're already in. You? All right, that's it? Just one? So I want to thank all the Conscious Venture Lab. It's an accelerator based here in Baltimore. It's both in-person and virtual. We went virtual after COVID, so mostly virtual now. We focus on mission-driven businesses, and we focus on this idea that the best businesses of tomorrow are not going to be businesses that focus myopically on shareholders.
Don't ever change for anybody. Don't ever trade your soul. Don't even listen to him. He don't know nothing at all. Try not to get too involved, but really it's